Welcome to Tech Simplified. We have another Woman in Tech podcast, but this is like no other. I got Lindsay Ward. She is a powerhouse community leader and a change maker from Western New York. With deep commitment to economic growth, Lindsay has spent her career designing sustainable real world solutions that uplift individuals and nonprofits and businesses alike. She's a master at connecting the dots, leveraging local and state and federal resources to turn ideas into lasting impact, whether it's through budget, leadership, community engagement, or helping organizations navigate complex challenges. Lindsay work is rooted in one mission: create real opportunities for people to thrive. Her ability to lead in dynamic environments while staying grounded in service makes her a perfect mentor for the next generation of women in business and tech. Wendy, I didn't do you justice because your career, I could do a 20-minute intro if I needed to. So I don't want to steal some of your thunder. First, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. Look at this.
Sly, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on your show. This is such an honor as I have stepped into this role of running the SUNY Brockport Small Business Development Center that serves our 5-county region. I have set different priorities for our center, and one of those is supporting women in business and women in tech. So it is such an incredible honor to be on your show today. As far as things that you have missed, I am a full-time working mom. I have 3 beautiful children. I understand what it's like to balance being in such a leadership role, serving 5 counties, working in the government entity. So I feel that there's a lot of women that can connect and relate to as we balance so much in our lives. So I just want to throw that out there in addition.
Oh, yeah, that's great. First of all, thank you. Thank you for doing all you do. Motherhood, ooh, that's the best treat of them all, man. Me being a dad and my 3 young kids, I don't know how you do it. It's hard, man, to balance both. But as professionals, that's something that we got to do every day. So thank you for that. And thank you for your commitment to the community. And this interview is very special because you're right over, right? I'm in Buffalo, you're in Rochester, having someone local have this conversation and the impact you're driving, man, it's a great. So one thing I want to touch on, which I haven't touched on my podcast yet, is you worked across government, business, non-for-profit spaces. How do you stay grounded while navigating so many moving parts?
Sly, I do have to say that at the end of the day, when you work in government, you are supporting taxpayers. So as long as you are a public servant, you need to keep that in mind. For instance, the center that I'm representing, we provide free advisement to entrepreneurs and small business owners. And I am reminded, my team is reminded that we are here to serve the public. We are doing some very large community impact events. We are providing that free advisement to entrepreneurs and small business owners across our 5-county regional district. And we have served over $12 million worth of economic impact for our region alone. So to stay grounded is to remind yourself of why you're in the position you're in, who you're serving, and be thankful every day that you get to do the amazing work, especially that my team and I are doing.
What advice would you give young women looking to make a meaningful change in their communities through tech or through entrepreneurship?
I love this question, Sly, because one of the priorities I have set for our center is youth entrepreneurship. So, what I have noticed just in working with high school students, college students, there seems to be a majority level a divide between how female students and male students really present themselves. I don't know if that's a good questionable guess would be maybe the societal changes and impacts that are on women at a very young age. But one of the things I notice is that, for instance, if there's a group of high school students presenting, a lot of times the male students are very confident and they deliver very strongly, where the female students are more focused on being likable or sometimes are just feeling like they're taking up space and they're not feeling that level of confidence of what they could actually deliver. That's things that I've just observed even at the high school or at the college level. One of the things that I really instill when I'm mentoring female high school and college students is be confident. And what does that look like? And as you get into the business world, being confident when you're asking for a bank loan or you're trying to negotiate, it is such a strong skill set to have, and to being confident with yourself and understanding how much you can provide. We as women, we have raised families, we have been mothers, we can balance so much in our lives. In addition to the skill sets we offer, there is so much to offer on the plate, and we have to think about that. For instance, there's another conversation I just had earlier this morning where when there's a job description, we as women typically will look at it and say, oh, maybe 50% of those things on there, we don't have this strong skill set for. That's terrible. We can go in there and we can say, I am great for this job because this is all the things I can offer. So there needs to be this bout of confidence, having a voice, not feeling like you're just taking up space, and knowing that you can make great impact on your community just by being a mentor, a model, and also even hosting events like I'm doing, which I know we're going to speak about later, that's creating some very large community impact across our region.
Yep. And I think you said something really important, confidence. And I do a lot of resumes. I help a lot of people get jobs in tech. And you're right. When I run into guys who are like 60% of the way, they still apply. They're like,
Yes.
they'll figure the rest out. They're like 20% of it, I'll probably figure out when I get there. The other 20%, they might train me on it. So let me just apply anyway. And then they end up getting the job. And I got ladies, they go super detailed. And they're like, I just don't have it. I'm like, no, could you learn it? I showed them color coordinating. I'm like, let's go green, yellow, and red. And then we would do it. I'm like, I see more green and yellow than I do see red. So I think you can definitely do the job. Can you learn the red? I'm like, yeah. And then I'll talk them through how they learn the red, and that's fine. And then once they overcome that, it's great. And then the next step is, now that you believe that, is make sure when it's salary time is coming, make sure you're still confident there. And don't undersell yourself.
Absolutely.
Get what you want. And that's something I've been really harping home. And that's why I even started this podcast, because I met a guy that said women couldn't negotiate. And I'm like, what type of girls you talking to? Because I got 5, 6 girls that can negotiate you out to socks right now. So you just got to go around some more ladies, man. And then I'm like, maybe he has a point. Maybe some women can't. Some men can't either, right?
So to respond to that, one of the things that when I mentor female community members, female high school students, female college students, is it's great to have female mentors, but it's even better to have male allies that will push you, that will drive you. I had a male ally push me to ask for money on a contractual agreement. You need to have this network behind you that's going to really push you in this world, in this community.
Yeah, and that's true. And similar, when I talk to some of my male colleagues, I'm like, hey, do you ever consider a woman mentor? And if they tell me no, I'm like, why not? You know what I'm saying? They're doing the same role you want to do. So I understand. Guys, just ask the question, right? Because ladies see things differently than men, right? I definitely saw problems differently. I see my wife comparison to me. She could do 15 things while I do one. I love what you're doing locally. And this goes perfectly into our next question. Can you share a time when mentorship helped you shift your path and outlook as a leader? And I ask that question because sometimes I find people who they get to mentor, but they don't understand how it can change or open up new doors. So can you share a time that mentorship has helped you?
Sure. And I'm actually going to be speaking about this in my next keynote. If you look in my high school yearbook, you will see me voted as the shyest student in my class. My confidence was low, my self-esteem. It was just, I just existed and I didn't have a voice. And so I got through high school, I went off to college, I joined a student organization, and there was a group of women that said, we want you to be president of this organization. And I laughed at them. Me? I can't do that. I'm the person that sits in the background. I'm the person that listens. I'm not the one that speaks in front of people. I don't have that skill. And they said, no, Lindsay, this is your time. This is what you need to do. And what I didn't realize is how impactful that was. To get up in front of a group student organization and speak and organize a meeting and lead opened up so many incredible opportunities that I then went for. So when I had so much support to do that and have the experience level and say, you know what? I haven't been giving myself credit. And I ran with it. So I think that, and again, having that mentorship, and I tell this story a lot to the students I mentor and the community members I mentor, because I didn't come from a very boisterous background. I was somebody that came from a very, like I said, low confidence and low self. I was voted shyest to coming to where I am now, where I serve on multiple boards. I'm the first female regional director in this position. It took a lot for me to push and to really push myself to levels that I never thought I could take. And a lot of that was my network, my mentorship, the mentorship I received, and it was both male and female. I had fantastic role models that I really looked up to drive me. So these are all things that really push me, that I instill in my mentees as I'm working with them.
It's great. And one of the key words you said is support. You don't need to go in this
Correct.
alone. You might not have the support at home. You might be a working mom. You might be even a single mom. They don't have the bandwidth. What Lindsay is trying to say is that there's support, right? Your local SBA is a good place to start. There's women in tech chapters. And if there's not one, there's online videos like this. Share it with someone that is in need. Just don't go on alone, because you could have that one conversation away from the help that you need. That's the way I look at it. And some people you might meet won't give you the help you need. Don't lose the steam. I know in my career, I've ran into people who straight out told me, no, I'm not going to be your mentor and I'm not going to help you. And I said, great, have a wonderful day. And I don't lose any steam. Then you keep going. To me, a no is, I needed to get that to my yes. So if you really want to do this, which when I'm speaking, I know you can. So the question is, are you willing to get to that yes by going through those no's? And you might be lucky. Like I got buddies who get a yes on the first try, get the yes already, but they came prepared, they had the right person, and that happens. And Lindsay, I'm glad that you took that support, because if you didn't, you might not be here today. And you also said allyship. I realize your mentor doesn't necessarily have to look like you, right? Whether that's gender, that might culture, it might be completely different. Mentors,
Absolutely.
both sides. So again, help is a good word. I'm trying to teach my children that. When I say help, they get crazy, right? I even text my mentees. I'm like, help, it's okay. As long as you don't use it as a crutch. We all need help. Even as a baby, I got a 9-month right now. If I told you know what, Trey, you're going to be on your own. Just go do it. He can't do it at 9 months. He need help. It's unfortunate. We all needed it. And even when we get older, we still do.
Absolutely.
So next question is really, we getting a little bit deeper, right? How do you see economic development evolving with more women entering tech and business spaces?
Oh, let me explain this. So when I run our Innovate Her, which I know we'll speak a little more detail, but these events are really supporting women in the tech field. But one of the things in addition is, like I mentioned earlier, the SUNY Brockport Small Business Development Center, which is the organization that I lead. We help with fostering entrepreneurship in small business, educational resources, support, advisement, all of it. So when I speak to the women in the room, as well as men, we have both women and men come to these events, which is very powerful. But when I speak, I encourage those that if you're working for an employer and you're not happy and you are ready to start your own business with the skill set that you have, we're right here to support you. So that's the message that I try to provide. And what that does is it creates even larger economic impact. We have seen an increase of female clients coming into our center, seeking the education and the advisement that has now, which I mentioned earlier, we have now, just last federal fiscal year, over $12 million worth of economic impact within one federal fiscal year. And we're seeing a huge increase from female community members seeking our help and being very successful.
That's excellent. So I love how you tackle in both spaces, right? You got the tech, Innovate Her. We're going to talk more about that event. I can't wait to go. But also from the business standpoint, to get even more ladies into the field of entrepreneurship. So absolutely love that. And something I always like to do on this podcast is as we age, as we gain more experience, sometimes I even think about what could I have done different, right? On my way here. And how, when I'm helping my mentees, what advice that I can share with them that it might influence them to do something different or just make them aware of that obstacle so they prepare for it in advance. So, what would be your advice to your younger self starting a career? I like to
Yeah,
hear.
first of all, from an entrepreneurship standpoint, I'm going to take this in two different directions. From an entrepreneurship standpoint, education is power. And when you have the educational resources like my center offers, the more success you're going to create, the more awareness of navigating a startup business or navigating growth in an already current business that you own. So from the entrepreneurship standpoint, like I said, you can never have too much education. On my own journey, if I could go back to my younger self, one thing I think I would tell myself is you can be a powerhouse. You can be an influencer. Everything's going to be okay. You can speak your voice. You can take up space in the room. You don't have to be quote unquote likable to please and to be that soft-spoken person that doesn't have a voice. One of the things I had shared with folks is I was really good at a very young age of honoring and getting gold stars in the classroom for being well-behaved and for sitting quietly. But now as a board member, am I there to earn gold stars? Am I there to be likable? Or am I there to create impact and change organizations around? So if I could just go back to my younger self and say, your voice is powerful, you need to be heard, and also bring that confidence in because that is huge. But on the flip side, it also is really important to have a network. Hold on to those crucial relationships that's going to guide you and build you as you go through your life journey. And as you mentioned, Sly, you said, Ed, even as we age, it may shift or change, but those relationships that you've had along the way are going to be critical. And also new relationships that you need as you're futuristically looking for pivot or change in your life are also going to be extremely valuable as well.
Yeah. You mentioned it, right? I realized similar to you, I was soft spoken in ways where I wouldn't speak up. I didn't think my opinion mattered, right? Finding that voice, finding that confidence took a bit. And then I had the opposite problem in school. I ain't stayed still. I didn't sit still. Always in trouble, gotta move, always gotta do something, right? And I'm always in trouble. Now I actually get incentivized to do that. But sometimes you do need to be still. I think what you're saying is knowing who you are and going outside that comfort zone. So for me is I always spent a lot of time on getting really smart, educated. But then I realized if I don't know Lindsay, I might not be able to get to the Innovate Her event, right? Because I don't know the right person, right? And the network is pretty impactful. That is almost as important as knowing the work. I found times in my career that the advancements that I received, or even my peers received, is because of that conversation they had.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you talked about a lot of powerful things. And if I could go back in time, is like you said, is confidence. Going back to what we talked about before. I have everything inside of me. And the things that I don't, I'm one conversation away to get that help that I need. I just have to be confident and set my ego down and be vulnerable. And like I think we talked about that offline, is that vulnerability is key because that makes us all
Absolutely.
human, right? It makes us together. Like me struggling with 3 kids, as a dad, you might have some empathy with that. You're a mom holding it down. So we can talk through those things, or taking on a new role and you're not feeling like you can do it, or going out on your own trying to raise capital and it's something you've never done before. Those conversations is hard, man, especially if you did face defeat or like temporary failure. But if you got the right resources, like you said, education and network, that would be temporary, right? You can turn that into a success story. Then you could talk about how you overcame it. I love what you said, Lindsay.
One thing I want to add to something very powerful you said is about vulnerability. When I speak, when I'm a keynote speaker at some of these events, one thing I share is some very vulnerable moments that have happened to me in my own experiences working under an employer. And two things happen when I do this. One is the women in the room will pull me aside and they say, "It happened to me," which is very powerful because in our society, we have been taught to not share these things out loud. These are supposed to be hidden and very secretive and not to be shared. When I'm engaging with some of these women that had very paralleled experience, it's very powerful to build those connections. On the other hand, I've had some one-on-one meeting with other women that said, "I can't believe how vulnerable you are when you speak," and are very concerned about some repercussions or consequences to that. And it opens up some mentorship opportunity where we can talk and speak to why vulnerability is actually empowerment and why not sheltering and keeping things so quiet is actually very hurtful, not to just as the individual, but to our community as a whole. So it's really powerful when you really can incorporate and be vulnerable and share some of these things that have happened. This is some of the community impact experiences that I am seeing as a positive in getting community members to really speak up and reflect on things that have happened that are very parallel to what I'm sharing.
Yeah, and that's great. Vulnerability, a great book, Dare to Lead by Brene Brown is one of the best books I read. Sharing that, masking that, and making sure you're not using that to stop your success, right? Because sometimes, do I really want to share that? Do I want to open up on what I'm going through because Lindsay might not understand, but that might be the exactly to show, hey, you know what? I can help you meet that banker over there. And that story you just said right there, they're gonna know that you are gonna make right on this loan. And because I can tell that your perseverance and how you got here and why you're here now and what you learned from the conversation we had, right? But again, if you never share that vulnerability, you might not have that door open for you. So yeah, I love that. We're getting closer to the end of this interview. Let's talk about why do you believe events like Innovate Her are so important right now? And what do you hope attendees take away from this experience?
I want to kind of start from the beginning of how Innovate Her began. One of the things we did was our first event, we had 30 women who worked in the tech industry in the room. And my first question to them is, "Tell me what's going on." We talked about performance appraisals. We talked about promotions. We talked about treatment in the employment realm. We talked about benefits. For instance, I'm a mother of three. If I'm working for a company and you only give me 5 days of sick time during flu season, I am going to burn through that. And that really hurts as a sense of trying to balance work and being a mother or taking care of a person, your parents, whatever that looks like. So really looking in and honing in on the benefits aspect as well of what's being offered. So I walked away from this event with a lot of feedback from these women. The other crucial piece is in the greater Rochester area, we have been deemed as a tech hub. One of the things that a few women shared is if we are deemed as a tech hub, why isn't there any support system for women in the tech industry? And that's when I walked away knowing I had a task to fulfill. So the second event was at a local brewery, an SBDC client of ours. And thank goodness it was a warm night because it was an outside event within the parking lot, the patio area for the brewery. And we had over 100 people show up. It was powerful. There was a lot of yelling and shouting, a lot of empowerment was being demonstrated. I said a very powerful keynote speech. And then we had a panel of women that served in the tech industry share their own personalized experiences. The next event we had at a local organization called NextCore. And we had over 180 registrants for this event. And this is where I'm so proud with the community reaction to what is happening. This event actually incorporated students from all over the region. We had a good share of SUNY Brockport students. We had students from RIT, U of R. It was phenomenal. So what happened at this event is I said a very strong keynote speech that really focused in on the power of mentorship, the power of using male allies. I recognized a male ally that really pushed me to my level of where I am today in negotiation, network, and all of those aspects. We also had our SUNY Vice Chancellor, Chris White, come and say a few words as well. And then students got the opportunity to engage with industry leaders in business and the tech industry. It was phenomenal. Students walked away with so many mentors, connections. They were looking for internships, employment. And then on top of that, the industry leaders got to connect from a networking standpoint and build out their network. So this esteem that's just coming through running these events and how many people are in attendance. Our next event is going to be September 25th. It is from 5 to 7 p.m. at FLXAI, which is right in the city of Rochester, right on Elton Street. This is open to all community members. If you follow us on Brockport Small Business Development Center, we are on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. You'll see a flyer right on there where you can just connect with the QR code and register. We are very fortunate to have KeyBank sponsoring this event, so we'll have a beautiful spread of food. And we'll also have the student engagement as well. You get the opportunity to connect with a student, share your employment experience, how you can help them, be that a critical mentor that's only going to move this community forward. So we're very excited. It's going to be our 4th event, and we're hoping to push it above that 180 mark of registrations.
It's awesome. That's beautiful. And I can tell you the impact is definitely going to be felt. And I'm excited. I'm going to be there. Bring some friends with me. Hope you hit that, surpass that 180, right? Let's go get that 220 or more. Super excited for that. Loving everything you're doing. I can't say enough. Every action matters. And those conversations, if you're thinking about going and you're in the area, think about what we talked about before. That one yes might be there. And this is what Lindsay is trying to cultivate. Get all the movers and shakers in one room so you can make magic happen, right? So if you're on the fence about it, don't be. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be enjoying it. Can't wait to listen to your keynote and be an ally in the room. Be quiet, learn, and learn how to show up better for the community. So before we go, because I could talk to you all day, Lindsay, but I know you're super busy, is how can they keep in contact with you?
One thing is I do have LinkedIn. That's where a lot of my network is. So please connect with me on LinkedIn. I would be happy to connect one-on-one, whether that's through a virtual meeting, if you're outside the area. Yeah, and the other thing too is that I want to mention very briefly is I serve on the National Women's Committee for our Small Business Development Center, SBDC. It's called the Americas SBDC because it's on the national level. So I have connections across the nation. So I would be happy to connect with folks from wherever you are in the United States. Absolutely. Or if you're in other parts of the world, I would love to hear your stories and connect and build on this and how to start movements in your own communities as well. So yes, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Again, if you're interested in signing up for advisement, you can go right to our website, which is sbdcbrockport.org, or you can follow us on social media and see all the other incredible events that we have coming up.
Oh, that's awesome. Definitely make sure to connect with you on LinkedIn. I'll have that in, if you're listening to this on a podcast, or be in the show notes. If you're watching this on YouTube, it'll be in the description. Super easy to connect with Lindsay. And before we go, if you're stuck trying to learn AI, trying to learn sales tactics, Tech Simplified offers something called the Growth Pass. And the Growth Pass gives you access to all of our training for $10 a month, right? You spend more on pizza. And coming soon, a small business training seminar, how to use AI in your business to grow. So stay tuned for that. We're going to keep it reasonably because our goal is to remove that knowledge gap, get you closer to your goals. So until next time, Slide and Lindsay are out. Peace.